Hello. Well, you may have seen me working on video 8 tapes on a number of previous videos, and I sometimes have to splice these. And I have a splicing block which I had imported from America. Rather hard to obtain, this particular model. It does a great job. You put the tape in there, in the groove. There's a curve to the groove which holds the tape in place nicely, and you can slice it with a blade and do repairs to the tape. And I also have some of these blocks in other sizes. There's a 1/2 inch one made by a very well-known company in the day called Editall. Again, it's got that distinctive curve in the channel which the tape sits in, and so it just sort of holds it in place nicely. I also have a 1/4 inch block which is used for audio tape and also for DV formats, mini DV and the likes. Oops. Now, people have asked me in the past, oh, how could I get hold of one of these? And though they do appear on eBay and similar from time to time, they're not the easiest things to get hold of. But it turns out that there is a supplier who makes new ones today. So I've ordered the 8mm one. Let's have a look at it. It comes as a kit with some of the tape as well, and that's a key thing as well. This is the tape I've been using. I've a couple of reels of this. This was originally used in VHS duplicators, so they had big machines that would duplicate VHS tape on big pancake reels using a special process. It didn't run them through video recorders, certainly not in the later days. They had special reverse tapes in a magnetic process that printed the magnetic material from a mirror tape onto the finished VHS tape, and then it would automatically, at the end of the tapes, splice using this splicing tape the leader tapes on and put it into a cassette shell, and off it went. And this is not normal sticky tape, despite the fact that one of my sons once nicked a few meters of this to stick some Halloween things up. I was quite cross with him. This tape is rather hard to get. It won't ooze the goo of the sticky, the adhesive that a normal sort of sellotape branded sticky tape would, and that can cause serious problems. People use normal sellotape type material when repairing a videotape. That adhesive can end up wrapped around several loops of the tape, and it gets onto the video heads, and oh no, really bad. It could be quite destructive to the video heads. So very important to use the right kind of tape. And this kit comes with some tape as well, so it looks like it's really good value for money. It seems to do a lot. So let's have a look at the 8mm splicing kit. I'll set you up so you can see down on it. I'll compare that to my previous kit so you can see any differences. Right, let's get stuck in. So let's first start by making a splice on some of this 8mm tape here. So this is just a random old tape. I will take the tape out of the cassette so we can look at it on here. I'm going to start by taking the tape apart with my favourite screwdriver set. This is one from iFixit. I find it easier to open the cassette front like that before taking the lid off. If this tape is branded Maxell or Boots, at this point the little metal spring that operates this lever will ping off and you'll never find a way to put it back again. Okay, so here's our tape. Let's use the block we've been using up to this point. Now, I don't know exactly what brand this one is, but like I said, you can't buy this as far as I'm aware anymore. And typically your problem is that you'll be repairing a tape that's snapped due to mould, and you can see this tape did have some mould on it. You can see in there. So let's assume we've arrived at a tape which is snapped, and if it's a mould snap, it's very often a very long thin tear along its length, a bit more like that. So you've got a jagged, horrible tear in your tape. You need to lose a bit of tape. You're going to have to splice some out. So I'll sit it down in this channel which holds it nicely. use a blade. Now, there are diagonal cuts here. They're very often used on audio tapes because they reduce the sort of pop sound you can get if you splice a tape straight across. But really, for 8mm tape, I don't think that angle is so important. And I'd use the 90-degree cuts myself. Now, typically what I'll tend to do when I've done that cut is I'll move the join along so it's away from that 90-degree block part, because otherwise when you put the tape on it tends to not fill properly in the middle. Now, this tape I've been using here is not really intended for 8mm, so you have to make up your own little patches, which is no problem. Now, the thing is, the patch, all it has to be is not the full width of your tape, in this case 8mm. You want it to be somewhat in from the edges, but beyond that it doesn't matter terribly much what shape and size it is. Typically I use a pick like this to help me place it nicely onto the tape, and like I said, if it's just in from the edges, you've got it right. Try to get the bubbles out, and you've probably got a fairly good splice there. So this one's a little less than perfect. You can just see a hint of the adhesive tape through the middle there, but actually it doesn't matter, because if it's extremely small like that, the heads won't touch that anyway. So the important thing is that that's a straight cut. We don't have any tape going over the width, so there's nothing wrong with putting that through a machine and playing it. You will of course get a disrupted piece of video as you play that. You'll see some rubbish moving down through the screen because the recording is made on long horizontal stripes along the tape, and you'll be going across multiple stripes. So you'll see disturbance moving down the picture for a second or two as that travels past the heads. But at least it's a good, safe splice to play in your player. You will not damage the heads with that. So that's our repair done with my existing kit on this splicing block. Let's do another one now with the new kit that we've just bought. So here's our new kit, and let's see what we can get in the bag. So the splicing block. This is just a receipt. It is not instructions. We had to go to the website to get some sort of idea of how to do the work. And we have not one but two rolls of tape and some more of the same kind of blades. So those blades look pretty much identical to the one that I've been using, from which I've ordered on eBay. So nothing special about those, they're readily available. There are two colours of tape, and reading from the website, the blue is the splicing tape, and the cleary white tape is used for holding it down to the block. Now, I didn't need anything to hold it down to that block, but let's see if things are different here. Okay, my last block came in this rather nice protective case. This one is just in the cardboard box. The previous one's got a sticky pad material. I could take this backing off and stick it down onto a surface. That's not the way I work, but for some people that might be important. This one seems to be just a foam backing, so probably better suited to me anyway. And again we have two angles of cut, but I'm just going to use the 90-degree one. So looking at the material, there's something very different. On all these blocks, the Editall and similar, the base of the slot here has a curve to it. Let me show you on my previous one. Hope you can see there's a gentle curve, so the tape sits in there and has enough curl on it that it will sit in place. This seems to be just a square base, so I don't think the tape is going to naturally sit in there, and maybe that's why you need this hold down tape. Okay, well, let's try it anyway. Let's get some of the videotape, do the same thing, a nasty jagged cut, and then we'll try to tidy it up. So there's your snap. So we need to trim the edges of that and splice it together. So we'll go through the same process. We'll sit the tape in the slot. Will it stay there on its own? It does seem to fairly well, actually. So we're not using any of their hold down tape at the moment. That seems to just sit there anyway. We'll use their blade. Just use my blade to open the packet to get to their blade. They're not the same make, because mine say made in USA on them and these appear not to, but very similar. Okay, so let's cut the nice 90-degree cut here. That's fine. Do the same for the other edge, so I'll move that out of the way. Okay, now we can try the blue tape to do the join with. So as before, we want this to be just less than the width of the recording tape. I would say that's possibly just a little wider than I would have liked. There's a risk that if you don't get it perfectly in line with the tape, that it may go beyond the edges. But the splice itself, that's worked fine. I've got no complaints with that. I think the slightly rougher surface here has maybe left a few marks on the tape where I've pushed down the adhesive at the back. Maybe I should be a little gentler with pushing that down. But you know, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that join. It's every bit as good as the other one. So this block is going to be perfectly usable for my purposes. But what's the hold down tape for? Well, let's just do that again with the hold down tape this time. So I suppose the hazard is that the tape might tend to curl. Let's do a cut. If you've got tape that curls too much and won't sit down in the block, we could possibly generate that effect by stretching the tape a tiny bit. That can make it do that. And if that's starting to wind you up and it keeps on curling up and you can't get it to sit down, well, it does sit down anyway. But if you can't, we could use the hold down tape. Let's give this a whirl. So the idea of the hold down tape, I believe, is that it is less sticky. It won't damage anything, so you can peel it off. So if you're having an unruly tape that keeps unraveling, you could put this across here and work on it, knowing that it's going to stay down on the block. So let's give that a whirl, see if that's better. What you don't want to do, of course, is do what I've just done there and put the hold down tape too close to your join. But the point is, you can peel the hold down tape off and it doesn't leave a messy mark behind. Put the splicing tape across. Remove that join, take away the hold down tape. And have a look at that join. Yes, that's absolutely fine as well. I think I slightly creased it when I was taking the hold down tape off. Perhaps I should have taken that tape off when it was still on the block. But yeah, another high quality join. No complaints with that. So I would say the splicing tape is every bit as good as the splicing tape I've been using. I think I probably prefer to cut my own and have it just a little narrower than the actual width of the tape, but there's no problem using that. That's really good. The hold down tape, I can see why you might need it, especially with these blocks with the flat base, but as it was with this particular tape anyway, it wasn't really necessary, and I'd be inclined not to use it unless I had an unruly tape that really kept on rolling up and being a nuisance. And especially so if you're working on some other sizes of tape, like audio cassette, which tends to roll up something terrible, and it might also apply to some other very thin videotapes, perhaps micro MV or DAT audio tapes, where they just roll up all the time. So it could be useful for those sort of tapes. I think it might have been nice if some sort of case had been provided to keep at least this part in, and perhaps the whole kit, to keep it all together and stop it roaming around in your workshop. This was quite a nice touch, this case here, but there's no reason that I wouldn't recommend that product. That works well. Let's briefly look at this 1/2 inch one from Editall. So I do really like the lovely curve in the base of that, so you can sit the tape down on that and it doesn't curl up. That really works very well. I use this for VHS, Beta, N1500 and V2000 and any other 1/2 inch formats that need repair. The 1/4 inch block, this one's designed initially for audio tape, so the channel's quite deep on this. Interestingly, it's slightly undercut. If you look, there's the curve and then it's undercut, so I suppose that helps to hold the tape down. Perhaps the channel is a little bit deep on here for very thin tape used on DV, mini DV, DV cam and such. I think this is probably intended really for the much thicker tape of audio 1/4 inch, but it'll certainly do the job. Now while this is the 8mm block, I did ask the supplier, who was Runway Pro Audio, if they'd be so kind as, when I bought this one, if they could lend me their equivalent ones for 1/2 inch and 1/4 inch, so I could compare them to these. And their response was this. So no, I can't show you the other sizes. I'm really sorry about that. You can draw any conclusions you wish from that response. The screwdriver I was using for dismantling the tape, and it's very good for smaller sizes as well, right down to micro MV, was this one, and there will be a link for this product in the description below. Well, I hope you've enjoyed us comparing this new and old 8mm splicing block. Just a pity we couldn't look at some of the other sizes too. I'll do plenty more content on audio and video technology in the near future. Bye for now.